On this date in 2002, the Lakers swept Richard's New Jersey Nets. Richard, you look the exact same today as you did then, to complete a three-peat for Shaq, Kobe, and Phil. I know, Richard, that you've said these Lakers are the best team you've ever faced, and that includes that's 2016 and 17 Warriors, as well as the 2003 Spurs. Let me ask you this. What sets that Laker team apart from those other great teams you saw?
Now, I obviously the Spurs team was great with the Twin Towers and David Robinson and Tim Duncan, and then the Warriors team with Kevin Durant. The one thing, and obviously Shaq is the one person. A lot of times when you watch the Golden State Warriors and you watch how they play that small ball defense, they'll do what you call a triple switch. So they'll switch Steph onto a bigger player, and then when that player rolls into the post, they will then switch out. They will switch Draymond, or they will switch KD, or they would switch Harrison Barnes, whoever it was. They would switch a bigger player onto that post player and then put Steph back out to the perimeter. This is the issue with that. That amazing defense that works so well because there aren't dominant post presences anymore.
I know where you're going.
Not nearly as much. You weren't going to be able to do that. They were going to throw that ball into Shaq. He was going to catch it and dunk it. And one thing that Shaq made you do, he made you carry 2, if not 3 bigs on your roster, because you needed those fouls. You needed those big bodies because he was so dominant. So then what does that do? That shortens your ability to play small ball. It shortens your ability to play small ball because you got to have 2 or 3 bigs on your roster. There isn't carry 1, 1.5. This D'Antoni situation would have never worked. PJ Tucker would have quit before having to guard Shaq in a 7-game series. So that's why, to me, that is the best team that I've ever played against. It's the best team that I've seen. Now, the 17 Warriors with Kevin Durant was very, very close. But ultimately, I still need to see something that would have told me that they would have had a game plan for Shaq.
RJ, did you ever take an offensive foul from Shaq? And how much money would you have had to be paid to take a charge from Shaq going at full speed?
No, I tried to dunk on Shaq one time, and that was like always a no-no. I tried to dunk on Shaq one time, and he just put me on my tail and threw the ball at me afterwards for even trying to attempt it. I'm just letting you know right now that Shaq is a gentle giant, but not when he played games. Like, he would dunk the ball. I remember one time trying to go up and just even blocking him, right, just to try and swipe at the ball, and he was like, "Watch out for your wrist. I'll break your wrist, big fella," and just kept running down the floor. And it was like there were times where we fouled Shaq and they didn't call it. But there was multiple times where we fouled Shaq and didn't call it. They would just let him just keep playing because it didn't affect him. So I'm not knocking these great teams, the Spurs and the Warriors. I'm not saying that. But until there was an idea or you could show me that there was going to be a game plan, because the game plan that they've used that's been so effective over the years wouldn't work against him.
Yeah, well, I'll say one thing. I don't know what would have happened at the other end when Shaq would have been a real debate. That's when everybody keeps saying, "Hey, listen, what if that team played another team from a different era?" Who knows? Because at the other end, Shaq would have, in theory, had to come out to the perimeter to guard Draymond. What would have worked out? I know some people would say 3 points is worth more than 2, but Shaq was one of the most unstoppable forces we've ever seen. On this date in 2011, the Mavericks pulled off an upset over LeBron, Wade, and the Heat to capture the Larry O'Brien Trophy. Richard, what did beating the Heatles do for Dirk's legacy?
Well, it made him the second best international player of all time behind Hakeem Olajuwon, and it made him the best European of all time, in my opinion. But one thing that I will say about this, as great as that was for Dirk, I felt like in the Dallas Mavericks organization and being around them, they felt like one championship was an underachievement in Dirk's 20 years in this league. He is an individual that was so great, so talented. Understand, they were up 2-0 in the finals and were a few free throws away from being up 3-0 against Miami. Then they go and have 67 wins. Dirk went to the postseason 15 times in his career. So to only come away with one championship, as happy as they are, if you were to ask everyone that was there during Dirk's tenure, they felt like they probably should have won 2, maybe 3 championships.
That said, and I agree with you, RJ, there are a lot of missed opportunities there for Dallas. I think how memorable that one Dallas team is to even neutral NBA fans, and part of the reason it's memorable is because they beat the Heat in year 1 when LeBron was a villain, wearing the black hat and all that. But it does show there is a certain power, no matter how much we get into the era of player empowerment, how much we get used to players changing teams, it does mean a little more when you stick with one team and you finally break through in the end. It just does. There's no way to not say it does.
Yeah,
That entire playoff run for Dirk was magical. He was at the absolute top of his game. And also during that finals, he tore a ligament in his finger during game 1 and then dealt with a cold or flu or whatever during games 3 and 4. It was 105 degrees in Dallas at that time, and he was walking around in a sweatsuit zipped up to his chin because he was so cold. Of course, LeBron and Wade got in a little bit of trouble for mocking that. So in addition to his greatness, he dealt with some adversity just within that series. But moving on, according to Hawks general manager Travis Schlenk, the NBA is considering condensing its schedule next season so that even though it wouldn't start until December, it could end close to regular time in late June or early July. To do this, they'd have to roll back some of the progress they've made the last few years in reducing back-to-backs and 4 and 5 nights. Zach, how close to the 82 games do you think the NBA can really get next year?
I mean, it depends how much they're willing to roll it back, and it depends how much load management they're willing to accept. Because if they go back to a world of 4 and 5, and even a couple 3 in a row, you're going to get a lot of guys resting, and justifiably so. This is an unprecedented situation, and it's easy for us to say, well, just don't play 82 games, just cut a lot of games. But we're coming off a big revenue hit already, so who knows what the owners are going to be willing to do. This is a problematic, once-in-a-lifetime, hopefully, situation.
Yeah, these are the moments that you have to just adjust and you have to tweak and you have to be flexible. You have to, and again, you're going to have to put national TV games at the front end of these first 3 games if you're going to do 3 games in a row or 4 games in 5 nights. Make sure that you have a situation where the players and teams understand the games that are of importance, especially the nationally televised games.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.